Trey Lance talked yesterday as well on his relationship with the former starting quarterback of the 49ers.
Yeah, I said what's up to Jimmy yesterday. He was in here on Tuesday for his physical. So, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's nothing weird at all. Like I said, I've never had anything I could possibly say that's bad about Jimmy. I mean, he's been a big bro to me since the day I came in. He could have made things hell for me, honestly, last year. He didn't. He helped me out with everything. So I'm super excited to see him healthy, super excited to see him throwing again, and super excited to see what he does.
It really is strange. They're basically keeping him away from the team, and he's okay with it. If he wanted to force the issue, he could. But I think he's realized that for now, his interests are aligned with the 49ers, because if there is that quarterback gone for the year, not only do the 49ers get a good trade recovery, he gets something closer to his $25 million if there's a team that's all of a sudden desperate for a starting quarterback. But at some point, he's going to want out. And maybe as soon as that last preseason game is played, that's when he says, I want out. Don't hold me up until the absolute last minute before my salary becomes fully guaranteed because I'm on the roster as of week 1. I think when the cuts, at the latest, when the cut to 53 happens, that's when he's going to be gone.
Yeah, it's interesting too, Mike. Jimmy Garoppolo is not, he's not one of the worst quarterbacks in the league, right? I mean, I think if I'm being at worst, he's a top 20 QB. I would probably put him in the top half of quarterbacks out there. I mean, he's been to the NFC Championship game in 2 of the last 3 seasons, at least, right? And they went to the Super Bowl, obviously, in 19. So it's not like he's terrible. There are teams out there who would absolutely be upgrading if they got themselves Jimmy Garoppolo, but it's also that right now you can be like, well, do we really want to do that and put ourselves in that contractual situation when we have somebody that could start? And if we're not that good, then maybe we get a better draft pick. But if we get Jimmy Garoppolo, then we're going to be better. And maybe we're not going to be in the sweepstakes for, a quarterback like a CJ Stroud who's coming out, in next year's draft. So it's a weird situation, and I guess we're going to kind of wait for that injury. But I don't know. Do the Texans want to go in there with Davis Mills? I understand why they would. The Falcons really want to roll with Marcus Mariota. Well, you got Desmond Ridder behind them, so I understand why they would. It's weird.
We haven't heard anything in the past few days about teams trying to get Jimmy Garoppolo. What occurred on Tuesday, I think, sends the message to anyone out there who had been waiting, who had been reluctant to offer anything significant, just make us an offer. Just make us an offer. Now's your opportunity. And it's a combination of getting a deal with the 49ers and a deal with Garoppolo, because no one's taking on a $25 million total compensation commitment, but there's been nothing, no talk. And remember when Deshaun Watson gets the no indictment in that Friday in March, immediately we started the breathless reporting about this team's interested and that team's interested and that team's interested. I mean, there has been nothing. There hasn't been a single team linked seriously to Jimmy Garoppolo at any point in this offseason. That, to me, is stunning. Yeah, we've the report that the Seahawks talked about it. We talk about a lot of things. I just wonder whether there's no one out there that feels any compulsion whatsoever to try to trade for the last year of his contract, and they've all just sat back and said, we're content to wait for him to be cut, and then we'll see if we can work out a deal. And if we can, great, and if we can't, great. But somebody's going to end up with a guy who can be a pretty good quarterback. I mean, top 20 is still better than 12. There's still other guys out there that are worse than you, which would say if he's a top 20 quarterback, there should be at least 10 teams that are looking at this saying, hey, maybe this guy is better than who we have. I keep coming back to Miami. I've been reluctant to write this because I really don't want to deal with Tuanon, but I think he's better from what we've seen, body of work. He's better right now than Tua. And, look at this. He knows the offense that former 49ers assistant Mike McDaniel has brought to Miami.
I think that's a good argument, but I don't think that they would want to do it because you want to see how Tua can do in that offense and figure out, if you want to move on to Tom Brady next year. So I don't know. I like that. That's one of those teams where I'm like, yeah, I see why they would do it, but I also see why they wouldn't do it. I mean, you still did invest a first round pick in that guy. And Mike McDaniel has been very, effusive in his praise of Tua Tagovailoa. Oh my God, what would Tyreek Hill do if you replace the most accurate quarterback in the NFL with Jimmy Garoppolo, who Tyreek Hill saw couldn't hit Emmanuel Sanders down there on a post route? So in the Super Bowl. So I mean, I don't know what would they do then?
Well, I look, if Garoppolo had delivered the way that he could have and should have, he would still be the guy. And they would have had a hell of a mess if Garoppolo had made it to the Super Bowl last year. Then they'd have been stuck with him for another year. And now we see where Garoppolo, I'm rooting for the guy. Just because I believe you mentioned the Sanders pass, he could have won a Super Bowl and didn't, just like Jared Goff, if he would have seen Brandon Cooks sooner than he did, and he should have seen him because they ran the same damn play in the first half. I'm telling you, they ran the same play. Oh, boy, this is like pulling up the Hail Mary from 1975. But look, he's open. Now, he wasn't wide open. It wasn't like Super Bowl III when was it Roger Orr, or they ran the trick play and Earl Morrall just didn't see him? I mean, he wasn't running completely uncovered, but the throw was there to be made, and I think Tom Brady would have made that throw, frankly. So anyway, that may have been the moment where they decided at some point they're going to have to make a change. And then they had the ankle injury week 2 of the 2019 season. They just decided between the durability and the ceiling, we got to move on. But it doesn't mean there's no place for him. We'll see.
Yeah.
But it is so odd to me that there's been nothing, because there's an agenda for Jimmy G or the 49ers. If there's any interest at all, you want it out there to try to get somebody else interested. We see it all the time. You want everybody to come to the table. Hey, we got this team interested. Hey, we got that team interested. Hey, even if you don't name them, 4 teams are interested in Jimmy Garoppolo. There's usually a report like that. There has been nothing. It is weird, Myles.
Yeah, no, it totally is. I mean, if you were to put some money down today, right, where would you say that he ends up?
I still feel like he's going to end up with the Texans. I think Nick Caserio is sitting back, head low, mouth shut. He drafted the guy. Now, do they really? I mean, look, I know Davis Mills was better than they expected last year. The question is, do they really want to explore what his ceiling is, or do they want to try to win 9 or 10 games this year? I don't know. And the other possibility, somebody said, I don't know if it was Sims or who, that the Cowboys would be just a place where I can go and be the backup behind a quarterback who possibly will get injured, and then I could play. And if I get to play some, then I become a free agent next year and I go somewhere else and have a chance to be a starter until the team that signs me drafts a first-rounder. I mean, that's the Mitch Trubisky model. He disappeared as a backup for all of 2021, and he ends up being the starter in Pittsburgh until they draft Kenny Pickett, and now who the hell knows what's going to happen. And that would put Jimmy G right back in the spot that he was in last year, where he's the starter, but they've drafted a guy in round 1, so who knows what's going on. So it's something else to keep an eye on as training camp continues.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.